So my name is Derek Sutton. I'm the Director for Infrastructure and Enterprise Architecture at SickKids Foundation. As the name implies, SickKids Foundation supports the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto. So we're a fundraising organization. And as I said, I'm the Director in IT. And one of the things that we're responsible for is security, but that's all of the infrastructure, all of the networks, all the on-premise and cloud platforms. And penetration testing is important because we're always being asked about from our board. In fact, just the other day, about what's our security posture like. And penetration testing is one of the best ways for us to really understand, sort of from the inside and the outside, kind of exactly how vulnerable we could be, in a real world scenario. And so that's why it's so important to us. So security is important to SickKids Foundation, partly because we have over 1.5 million donors, I believe, active donors at this point. And we have a lot of, as you might imagine, information about those donors, from people that donate $20 a month to people that are donating, $100 million to help build a new wing at the hospital. And any of that information was to get out in an unintended way, it could really have a lot of reputational damage to the organization and could just absolutely wreck our abilities to raise funds if people thought that their information wasn't going to be secure. So that's one of the primary reasons why security is so important to us. So the primary drivers for running the pen test is I started the organization about 5.5 years ago. And we had some of the security basics in place, but it was really pretty static and needed a lot of updating. Since that time, my team's done a lot of work to really bring things up to a much better standard, or to a better sort of foundation, if you will. And we had thought about doing vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, and things like that a bit earlier. But at that point, we knew what some of our sort of big holes and big vulnerabilities were. We wanted to spend some time making sure we'd kind of fixed a bunch of that so that we could then really embark on a test and have it really be value add for us in terms of what our security is like. And so that was really the primary driver behind it, and that we've put a lot of good things in place. Now is the time for us to really sort of see, so what are the big things that we might have missed? So Packetlabs was really easy for us to deal with. When we contacted Packetlabs, it was just as simple as filling out just a simple Google sheet with some information, sending that off, having a quick setup meeting, and then obviously my team had to do a bit of work especially for the internal portions for the scanning, the testing. That was the matter of, an hour or two. And ultimately, in the end, we were able to, Packetlabs kind of took care of everything, ran the tests, provided the report, took care of our feedback when we went back to kind of have questions about it, and sort of modified it, and then did a sort of a thorough debrief, and really gave us a lot to, a lot to work with. So I just think that sort of ease of use and really the skills of the team were pretty impressive. If they were found first by an attacker and were actively exploited, it could have a tremendous impact on the business. It's the sort of thing whereby a lot of folks, either our employees, our board, or our donors, could really lose confidence in our ability to sort of control our own environment. I think that's why it's so valuable for us to sort of find these things before that sort of thing could happen, especially in terms of, we've put a lot of good controls in place to sort of harden our exterior, but this really highlighted the further work that we have to do to make sure that our interior is sort of just as difficult for a threat actor to work through. The major benefits to penetration testing is that it really can highlight things you may have missed, or I would say legacy things that, whether it's configurations, whether it's information, or anything like that may be sitting around in your environment that you're not even aware of anymore. Those are the sorts of things you honestly may have no idea what's there and how vulnerable it actually makes you. So someone could find something that, it's information that's 10 years old. What possible use could it have? Things have advanced so far since then, but you never know. You never know how an old password gets reused in something, which then leads to somebody being able to access something else and something else. And before you know it, they got the sort of access you would never want somebody to be able to have. So I think it's really, really eye-opening in that respect, in that it really kind of lays bare sort of the inadequacy of some of the defenses that you may have in place, in that you may find out that they could be completely circumvented. But at least when you do that, you're able to then take action to remediate it, which is exactly what we want. Well, the ROI for us, as a to be honest, as a foundation, Packetlabs was really generous in working with us. So which is amazing. So the traditional ROI doesn't necessarily apply directly for SickKids Foundation. And thank you for Packetlabs for all of that. It's really, I won't say strictly peace of mind, but it's the sort of thing that when you need to go and report to your senior management or to your board, there's a lot of security things that you can't necessarily point to as being, well, look at this, we've saved this amount of money, or we've made this amount of money. We're not a revenue stream for the organization. However, I think especially nowadays, people really do have a sense of needing to have cybersecurity as something that is sort of front of mind, and being able to have a third party, an expert third party, to come in to sort of either validate some controls that you have in place, but also to point out things that you need to do, and not just in terms of, say, having a consultant coming in and providing you with an expensive and pretty sort of PowerPoint deck that then you got to go and figure out how you're going to take action. This is actually concrete, tangible actions and things that you can take care of. And I think that sort of thing is, it may sound kind of over the top to say it's priceless, but it really is important to understand those things. So I think as far as ROI goes, that's really what it comes down to. And ultimately, it's about trying to avoid something, right? If we had to recover from an attack, that's going to cost us a lot of money. And so I can say that the amount of money that we would spend on doing penetration testing, it's less than we would pay in insurance premiums in order to enact our cybersecurity insurance to recover from something. So I think in that way, it's really money well spent. I would say it's the ease of onboarding. The fact that they make it so simple, we don't have to go through like a long discovery session in order to figure out exactly the kind of testing that we need to do. So that, and then the expertise of the folks involved. They really know their stuff, which is just amazing, right? Like it's not amateurs sort of sleuthing around. They really know what they're doing. And so we really can feel like they've given our systems, a really proper test. I think you could probably recommend Packetlabs to just about any type of business. I've worked in internet banks, I've worked in global pharmaceutical companies, and now I'm working at a nonprofit foundation. I think really the approach can work for almost anywhere. Obviously, the larger the organization, kind of the longer the test will take, the more vulnerabilities you might find. But I really think it could be appropriate for almost any organization. It really just kind of depends. I think for us, because the fact is, unlike, like, say, a bank, or some pharmaceutical firms, we don't have a lot of the same type of regulation governing exactly how we sort of manage things. So in that sense, it's easier for us to get a third party to kind of come in and really start to test things. Some large organizations might want a few more assurances, but honestly, I think Packetlabs did a great job. So, I mean, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend them to anyone that was looking for that kind of service, kind of regardless of the organization. Well, I think partnering with Packetlabs, if we take aside the sort of the results, right, which we were very happy with in terms of kind of what it showed us and the things that we could do, I think a big part of it was the commitment and the attitude from Packetlabs as far as doing the right thing. And that's not just doing the right thing and doing a good job, but wanting to contribute to children's health, and in a way that we're not doctors, we're not nurses, we're not maintaining diagnostic equipment. We're raising money to support the hospital, but that's really, really important. And so anything that we can do to support that, and Packetlabs understood that, and that's why we worked with them, because that's what they wanted to do, and they wanted to do it for the right reasons, because it was the right thing to do, not just to to sort of say, hey, look, hey, we did this, we did this with SickKids Foundation, but really, for the right reasons, which is really impressive.